Hello everyone, how you doing today? Today I thought I would get another video out and I wanted to build something, but I'm a little nervous at building anything that moves right now. I'm not on the new version of the game, um, so I'm just at 10.5, and I wanted to build something that hopefully could be CPU compliant, but I don't have the right parts to really experiment with that. And this is kind of a simpler build, but I wanted to build like a nice Martian storage thing to go with this. Basically like a small little building thing that is just about storage, has Wi-Fi, and has solar. No defenses on this piece yet. And the reason for that, I do plan on building like some defense turrets and things as well to protect a mobile base setup. And that's kind of the goal I've been going with on the Martians. I was thinking about this a little bit, and I think it would be my best plan. So I'm going to just kind of start on this real quick and lay out a couple parts here. And all this that I'm laying down now will probably be removed. It's just kind of a placeholder so I can have some power and stuff like that. So this is kind of like a two-part little piece here, and it's something I think I can build fairly quickly. But I'm going to lay this out over here, and I'm going to just kind of go off somewhere off to the side right now and start actually building. Okay, so part one of this is basically I wanted to use container extensions and build like something that kind of looks like a storage box that has 320K storage. And I want to build one of those and get it all textured and tweaked out, and then I'm going to copy it 2 more times. And then the next part of it is to build a frame around the whole thing that holds it up and adds in these parts on like the bottom of it and some solar panels. So hold on, just to be safe, I'm going to make sure I got structural integrity off, because I don't think it matters in creative, but I get paranoid. So first goal here is I just want to kind of build a box out of storage extensions. I would like it to be a width of 3 and maybe 2 blocks high. So I'm going to just start laying out a bunch of these and see how many I need to actually make a full storage box here at 320K volume. So let's here. Just thought this would be kind of fun and kind of needed. Something, oh, I'm not putting in the right piece there. That is not what I thought it was. Hold on, let me grab a container. Yeah, controller container. There we are, okay. So what are we at now? 168, so we're about halfway there. And of course I'm going to try to use as many full blocks for storage containers as I can, but I'm going to probably shape some on the edges, at least. Well, it's a lot trying to figure out exactly how many you're going to want first. I thought this would be kind of a fun project, and I don't think it should take horribly long to build this. Okay, so we're at 320. A lot of times when I see that number, what I'll do is I'll purposely blow away a block and see if it goes down, and it did, so then I know I'm exactly right on the number of containers I want. Okay, so that's kind of part one. This is pretty boring right now, and I want to do a little bit of shaping to it, but I'm thinking for the cost of CPU, that I may just want to not shape these, but just add some other blocks. And I'm not building this to be tough either, not this. So I'm going to probably use the cheapest material again, which is the carbon substrate. Well, I don't know if that's the cheapest, but it's, you know, I prefer it over wood, simply for the textures. So basically I want to get a little something going on the front of this, to give it some kind of shape and definition. And I almost, man, you know, I almost want to do something down the sides of it too, but it's all about cost. So let's just start out simple here. So I'll just get a a couple little bevel edges here, and let's go with this inverted one here. And one of the design characteristics of the Martians is that they don't use as many curves as I've been with the human faction, but they are big into angles. So that is something I'm always trying to consider, is trying to get a lot of angles in the mix, and kind of like manufactured looking things, more or less. Okay, so when I do this as well, these container boxes, whenever they're set up and done, will need to be separated by at least a block row as well, otherwise, because they can't touch being their own controller. Here, let's slap in one of these parts here. And maybe I should do the same. Oh wait, actually that's the wrong one. Let's go with this one here so it matches the same curve. And this one on the top. And yeah, no doubt this is pretty simplistic right now. So let's just get this kind of textured up real quick. That's one thing I've been kind of altering too, is sometimes when I build stuff like this, I will make a small part and texture it before moving on. Especially if I have the intent of copying it, and which I do in this case. Certainly pretty simplistic yet, though. Put any fuel in you? Yeah, I did. I just didn't turn it on. Okay. And just gotta clean up some stuff here. I could always add some more texture detail and stuff to it a little bit later here. Let's get a couple texture lights. Oh, I can't. I'm using the container extensions. The only texture light available with container extensions is this one here. That's kind of a bold texture for lights that I don't use too often. We'll just keep it plain for now. Let's get the top done and make sure the light stays on. Alright, next thing I want to do is color it real quick, and I do have my color palette for the Martians over here, which is kind of a blend. I kept all the human colors in here too. It's just there's some new ones out in this area in which I used for the Martian theme. But other than that, it's pretty close. Alright, so let's go dark on this bottom row here for now. And maybe dark on that. Let's get some orange in here on the top side. Separation of colors is something I've been doing a lot to try to get some more detail out of the same space, essentially, without like doing a lot of block work or anything like that. Just found it a nice way to try to deal with this kind of thing, and it has a way of making things look more detailed. It's really weird what I'm seeing with this, so it's kind of bugging me. That's just their the controller extension, but it looks like it's a little bugged out at the moment. Alright, well, this is extremely simple at the moment, but I think it would work. Here, let's try one of these over here and see how that works out, especially if... Alright, so we have one of these. Next part is I want to copy this. I'll probably try to add some more detail to this, and I can always recopy it later, but I want to get the other part started here. What am I doing? All right, so I think that should just, oops, I guess that doesn't matter. All right, so we'll copy and we'll paste you twice, but I wanted to leave a block row in between each one. Now we should have three 320K bins here. The next part is to build a frame. Oh, I should have textured the bottom of this. Well, I'll do that later too if it's even visible. The frame, I kind of want to try to build so it looks like a frame, essentially. So kind of like a metal frame. I don't want to use big thick blocks in most places. I kind of would like to use a lot of these thin blocks to build this up and make it look like it holds these off the ground and has feet on it. Kind of like if you're walking in a warehouse and looking at like pallet racks and things like that. It's kind of the general idea. Just trying to think on how I want to do this right now. I think symmetry would be nice to turn on at this point too. Did I get this right? Yeah, okay. So what if we put in a frame starting like here. Kind of something like this. And then take these full blocks and kind of run this across here. Maybe about there. And then do something like the same thing on the other side going down. Oh, so I should be starting with the other part here. So that one, and then you. Alright. So, something like that, I guess. Now on the bottom, we have, let's see if we got some feet in here. Maybe here I'll go with like full blocks or bigger blocks. And flip that around. Something like that. Get very basic. I think it should hopefully look like it could hold up this, especially if I get a beam across here. How do I want to do the beam? I kind of like the idea of doing something like this here. Of course, yeah, one of the big things is trying to make it very, very inexpensive as well. So the next part is solar. Um, Now, got some good space on top of these containers here to actually get some at least 3 solar panels on of the bigger type. So let's see what good options we've got here. Maybe something that fits flat on them. Like, oh, would that be upside down then? Let's find out. Yeah, that's backwards. Okay, that ain't gonna work. That's a piece of need. All right. Actually, you know, maybe I should just put these right on top of them, right up front too. Leave a little bit of room in back to maybe put something else. I don't know if 3 is enough. These are the bigger of the 2 types of solar panels, but wondering if I shouldn't try to squeeze in something more, maybe with the smaller type ones, just to give it a little bit more juice. Oh man, not sure if that's gonna work out. I don't think there is one I could use of this type that fits flat on the surface, unless it's a block up. I think I would have to guarantee that it's angled, which I guess works. All right, so we've got that. Now let's try to get some more going on inside of here. I so wish there was a block that just went down the center. Like all these blocks either go to like the right side or the left side, but nothing besides like these will go down both. But speaking of these, I think this is my only real option besides to have like full blocks in there, which I was trying to avoid doing. So I'll try that a minute. Leave just a little bit of a lip on the top one, so for an idea that may or may not work. I don't want, because there's no little blocks that I can do on both sides for that. Yeah, there is. There's something. There's this. I like using these little things occasionally too, because you get that that more detailed looking framework, I think, in the mix. But on the top part, I'm not sure exactly what to do here yet. There are a couple blocks. Well, there's this one, which is like a full block that would go down both sides. I think that could do the job I'm looking for. So we take that back to here. Then up here we could do all kinds of different things. Trying to keep it looking framey, I might use, rather than just kind of filling that in with blocks, maybe put in like a lip there, and then maybe one back here too, and then take that back down on the back side. Can we do here to add out a little bit of potential detail? Maybe something like that. Yeah, I think that would work. Alright, so a little bit of texture time here. There's quite a few different textures I actually use for these thin block edges. A lot of them look decent, but basically what I go for so much of the time when I texture is what fits on the surface with the seams lining up. And that is my main call on what textures I select for things, typically. Sometimes it gets repetitive though, because there's only a few that really kind of do the job well. But I like that little bit of breakup in there. So I didn't put one on the inside. So the bottom of this, I think I'm just gonna kind of mass fill with some of this here. There's not much I can do with these angled pieces here. I could try to get a couple seams in it, especially on the top, like more of the full block ones, but the rest of them I'm just going to kind of get rid of most of the seams. So it just doesn't look realistic that way. That is one of the things I'm definitely, I mean, I've always kind of had the idea to try to make things, well, attempt to make them look plausible. But I'm especially doing that with the Martians, as the whole idea I'm thinking behind this race would be to try to make them look like post-modern. You know, like imagine 100, 200 years from now, if we pursue like the current like Mars projects and actually do get some bases and places out on Mars. What would the stuff look like, you know, having a little bit better technology and stuff than we do currently. So that's kind of the, I don't know, kind of what I'm going for, and that's why with doing all, you know, with basing this on kind of the expanse, it kind of it's also that theme. I mean, they did it well in the show, in which made it very believable, you know, like how it was done, you know, how they made the discoveries, all that fun stuff over time, and it came out looking good. Like, oh yeah, that looks like that would really work, and it would really work. I mean, according to the physics and stuff that we know this day and time, they kept everything pretty much down to earth. Of course, they didn't have shields and warp drives and stuff, but we don't really have any good idea on how to do that stuff, at least in a practical sense right now. Alright, what can we do here? Always trying to look for like things, you know, just, you know, sometimes one-off textures to add a little bit of detail somewhere. Even if I only use like one on either side here, it's just something. And then I'll do something like this, and then because you have the seams on the edges, now you can actually put in a total flat piece and it doesn't look too bad. It doesn't look like it's too much lacking on detail. No idea why there'd be vents on a storage container though. That's kind of my fault there. But get a little. I still rather have that than no variety at all. You know, I'm just gonna take this. much light there. That. Oh, that actually looks kind of good. Uh-oh. Afraid of that. I'm gonna have to pull these solar panels a minute so I can texture that. And texturing, I think, is just so important. It's not the funnest thing on the planet to do, definitely, but it can make or break a creation on the textures. You could have just this awesome shape and beautiful looking ship or whatnot, and if the textures don't work for it, or it's you know, you just kind of sprayed the whole thing with like a base metal texture of one of the types, it can kind of hurt it pretty badly. Um, so getting those textures down, I think, is just so important. Guess I could deal with that. Now let's get something else there. Alright, a little bit more coloring. And actually, starting to look at it when I was doing it, and I didn't color these new parts yet, but I actually think a third color, like the gray that it's currently in, is might be better than if I painted it like the dark black shade or the orange. So I'm using a little bit different color for this. So I think I set this to use mostly this on how I did it for the Hitachi. Just kind of flat for now. You know what, while I'm at it, I might as well just do something with the bottoms of these two. Gray's a little bit gray. I wonder if I could do something with that to spruce it up. Let's try a color trick. And to paint the edges of this a little bit darker shade. See if it looks good or not. I guess it's alright, but it almost feels like I got it backwards. Maybe the edges should be a lighter shade by a little bit. And the inside should be a darker shade. Maybe like that there. Yeah, I can work with that. Okay, let's try it. Oh, no, not there. Duh. Something like that. Let's go dark on this part here. And then maybe add a little something to that. Darker, I guess, on the sides, but I'm going to leave the tops and the edges of it the lighter shade. Alright, so I'll get the solar panels back on here a minute. Let's darken up these feet here a minute. Okay, so now we've got some room down in here too, which is perfect. Essentially, I don't know exactly what CPU qualification this would be in, or you know, what tier I would say. And I know you need to add a bunch of blocks to add tiers, so I'm thinking the nice thing about that is I've got space under this structure to kind of do all that stuff. Add a bunch of blocks and parts to make it work like after the fact. But for now, what it needs is its main components. So what we're going to want to get in there is the core, generator, all these kind of fun things. So I'm gonna wipe all this out currently. And then we're going to start putting in new stuff over here, starting with the core. And I think the core might be best served if it was just kind of like below one of these. It kind of keeps it sort of protected. We've got a couple fuel tanks on either side of it. And let's see, we're going to want a generator, just a small one here. And we're going to want a capacitor. And this doesn't do anything to do with oxygen or weapons or anything else, so it really doesn't need much. I don't know if I want to squash them all in the same area. I was thinking maybe I should, well, I guess it keeps it all nice and neat. A little bit dangerous, but you know, this is not one of these tough things that I'm too worried about with that. And we got a block row right inside of here too. We can add in stuff. And I might just do that to kind of cover this up a bit, especially on the front here. some kind of trim in here too. Maybe just something on the edge here. Oops. Oh, I screwed up. I forgot these are doubles here, so that is not the right part. Need this one. Wow. I never put any fuel in this. Oh, you know what it's missing? It's missing Wi-Fi. It's gonna definitely want Wi-Fi. So that's easy enough. Thought I had some Wi-Fi blocks out. Oh yeah, tons of them. And a little bit more texture in here. Darken this bottom up a little bit. Let's get some darker shade in there. Alright, so what can be done with a little bit of decals now? Don't know if I actually like that. I guess it works, so you'll probably never see this. All right, well, oh, not quite. All right, well, I think that's almost it. Just a bit more touch up with decals. Really glad decals don't cost CPU, or I'd probably have to stop using those. That would suck. Well, it's quite simplistic, but I think it would do the job here, and I think it's about almost done. I mean, short of a little bit more detail work. I'm a little, this is a little blocky back here though, and I think I need to do something with this. Well, what could be done? Oh, and these light colors aren't right either. In fact, this whole strip I think should probably be darker. And speaking of the texture changes, let's see what did I do on this side. So I got 4 of them off to the sides. Let's do the same thing on this side. And again, I don't think I like this now, so get rid of that. Oh, my controllers aren't aligned properly either. Let's get those out of there. And I'll go this route so it'll be nice and centered. Okay, 3x320K storage. And way too blocky yet on the back. Just gotta do something with this. How about something like that? And then maybe that on the top. But not in the centers here. Yeah, I think that'll work. just got a block space here in the middle. Maybe to add something. That'll work. Then you get a little bit of a wedge in there that you'll probably never see, but that's all right. I just didn't want to see through it from the top there because there wasn't anything to look at. Two, three, 4 blocks. That could actually work out pretty good if I wanted to get some letters on here. Mainly to be used for trying to add some detail like that there. I do think I went a little overboard with the caution signs here though, so maybe tone that down a little bit. Something else, at least on the top. One more untextured area. Well, for what it's worth, it's not too extravagant, it's not exotic, but I think it would work well. Let me save it a minute. And I worked on a different version of this, by the way, something totally different, and I'll show you what happened with that in a minute. But so MCRN storage 3 proto. Let me spawn it. This is where I had the problem with the other one, and I don't know what happened. Okay, this one looks good. Oh, so it's really wonky on its position. Why is it not in front of me and over to the side? Guess I'm half expecting this to turn on. Yeah, there it goes. All right. So in desert light, which is pretty good actually, it seems to kick right on without adding any fuel to it. And that should be, and the Wi-Fi should be on, and all these storage things should be on. And what does it cost? Yeah, 25-minute build time, unlock level 7. Needs the iron for the storage containers. Other than that, it's just some carbon substrate and a little bit of other stuff. So yeah, that's I think that would do the job. Um, Now, on the other one, let me show you. So this one was designed to do two 320K storage bins. A little bit different design on it. However, I built it all. I've got it spawned here. There's nothing exotic whatsoever in this. Same parts used on the other one. For whatever reason, when I save this and I go to spawn it again, it's invisible. It does not show up. It'll literally spawn it in front of me and clear out the terrain like it's here, but it's not here. And I've kept on, I've got like these two here. I managed to spawn it one time. That's why there's a second copy of it. But even if I like go to either one of these and resave it or save it as a different name, we'll call this temp, and then I go to spawn it, same problem. It's gone. It doesn't show up. And that happened to me the other day, and it was kind of like I was making a video on this prior, and that happened, and it was like, what the heck's going on? And I've never figured it out, and I can't seem to correct it no matter what I do. I've even went so far as to put out another core, copy what's here, paste it to the other core, and I still got the same problem. So I've never come across it before, and I'm not seeing evidence that's like a new bug or anything. It's just I can't repeat it, and I don't know why, but it makes this particular creation kind of dead. So I don't know how to get around it, but I didn't like it that much to start with, and I really honestly didn't have a lot of time in it. So I actually kind of like this better. It looks a little bit more realistic. The only thing I'm not sold on necessarily is some of the texturing on this. I think I might try to tweak out a little bit. But I also want to see what this looks like at night. At night, yeah, you can see it. All the little texture lights on there kind of make it stick out a little bit. So, yeah. Well, anyway, that is what I was definitely wanted to do today. And this is like kind of part one. I will actually get to this to my workshop as friends only fairly quickly. Eventually release it to the public. I mean, these little things like this, I'll just try to throw those out there sometimes. But I think this would be useful as to add in nearby this landing platform, as it's cheap and useful, I think. Let's just see how this fits. But I don't like how it's spawning it off to the side, and I don't know why it's doing that too anymore. I don't. I removed all the first blocks, so that's kind of puzzling me a little bit. I've never had that happen before either. Once you get rid of this stuff, it usually centers it, but it's not centering it. Just want to see how feasible it is to spawn this in close and tight to the base here. A little hard to see though. I didn't put it all the way down to the ground. That is one feature, man, I wish the game would do, is spawning stuff, especially larger structures, and finding flat ground. Now, I'm in about the flattest ground I could possibly imagine in game, but most of the time there's more hills than this, and the tools to level off terrain honestly don't work good at all. Like there isn't like just a good level you can fill or you can smooth, but neither one seems to exactly do it right. It would be awesome if, if you decided to spawn a base, it would actually like level the terrain under it potentially, or at least anything that's touching it. I think that would be really cool and save a lot of problems. Something else over here I was kind of screwing around with is a defense turret, a small one again, something to put around a base structure like this. This design I'm not sure if I really like. Again, I've got all these set up for like all these sideways turrets, and I don't think I want to go that route on it. So that was just something else I was messing with briefly. But right now I'm kind of in a bit of a holding pattern on building anything that moves until I can get my hands on the newer version and to do some tests and things, because I don't know how things are going to come out. That's why I haven't done more with the Basilisk either. Um, I want to see how it comes out. Is it possible to make something like this CPU compliant at a high tier CPU? I'm thinking probably not, but doesn't mean I can't find out. But right now, since I don't know, I don't really want to pursue anything that, that's more complicated than something like this until, I know if it's could be CPU compliant. If it's not, so be it. I do plan on probably doing the majority of my builds in the future that won't be CPU compliant. Some will be though, and I'm gonna try to get some little starter things for each of the, well, I guess 3 races now, the Martian guys, the Creel, and the humans, and get a couple CPU compliant, early game things for each race and short-term plans, and that none of that should take a long time, not like building big capital ships and stuff like that, which do take a lot of time. Um, so anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this, and that's kind of my building process. Obviously, with simpler stuff, it goes pretty quick, but the big stuff takes an awful lot of time and a lot more tweaking than this, or tweaking the blocks and designs. This one I kind of had an idea in mind on what I wanted to do before I started it today, so at least I wasn't just grasping at straws, which I kind of was with the other storage base. I didn't know, or this storage thing, and I don't really like this one either, so I don't care that it's screwed up. All right, y'all have a good day. See you later.